I'm Jillian. Nice to meet you finally.
Nice to
Everybody,
meet
this is
you.
Sharon, and Sharon works for. She runs and owns and founded Embrace Nutrition and Holistic Health, and she's a holistic health coach. And I thought she said something online. I was telling them all earlier that you had said something online about, focusing on middle-aged people, and you're surrounded right now by middle-aged people, and we're missing some people tonight, but that's okay because they'll catch it on the recording. Um,
Yeah,
but I just thought for the month of June, with it being not just Pride Month but Men's Health Month, that this was such a important subject for us to talk about. And one thing we don't talk about enough is our gut health. And Sharon knows a lot about gut health. And from what I understand, this was from your own personal experience. You got into this because you were having your own issues, right?
yeah, absolutely, Jillian. So,
And holistic health. And she's a holistic health coach. And I thought she said something online. I was telling them all earlier that you had said something online about, focusing on middle-aged people. And you're surrounded right now by middle-aged people. And we're missing some people tonight, but that's okay because they'll catch it on the recording. Um,
yeah,
but I just thought for the month of June, with it being not just Pride Month but Men's Health Month, that this was such a important subject for us to talk about. And one thing we don't talk about enough is our gut health. And Sharon knows a lot about gut health. And from what I understand, this was from your own personal experience. You got into this because you were having your own issues, right?
yeah, absolutely, Jillian. So, yeah, I was having issues with endometriosis, which I didn't know wasn't diagnosed at the time, but which with endometriosis, gut issues arise first. So, I was dealing a lot with that during my high school years, and also when I moved it, into university. So, that was a big issue for me, and being thrown from pillar to post. Gastroenterologists couldn't work out what was going on, and I'd had every test possible, and ended up with an autoimmune flare. Ended up at a hospital in Melbourne when I was 19, and during that time, through our lifestyle intervention. So, by looking after our gut, by looking after our sleep and our stress response and our HPA axis, we can actually improve the superhighway communication. When things get a little bit, I guess where how ill health can start to increase, the vagus nerve isn't working as well as it should be, and we start to then lose sort of that insight into um, you know making sure we're listening to the whispers of it. So breathing techniques are a really important part of tapping into that. As I said, looking after your health, sleep, getting on top of stress reductions, another big part of it. So vagal tone is should be something that we, is one of the pillars in functional medicine, should be something that we need to tap into when we're trying to improve our health overall.
I realize I muted myself.
Yeah, I
So
was like, no, they're still muted there.
yeah,
So actually, as long as we're talking about the vagus nerve, I've actually heard recently two different times people talking about having injuries to their vagus nerve from surgery, like acid reflux surgery or something like that. Um, what should someone that's got that kind of problem do? Is there anything that they can do to help their situation out?
Yeah, so in terms of acid reflux specifically, or GORD, gastroesophageal reflux disorder, yeah. So what we tend to do in conventional medicine is put a band-aid on that. And people are using reflux medications and so forth to suppress the esophageal reflex. So in that case, the vagus nerve and the vagal tone works really well with better gut health. So what we're not doing and what we should be doing and what's not addressed in, especially here in Australia, I mean, I see a lot of clients who are on, reflux medication as they're not addressing the fact that we need those acids. We need the hydrochloric acid. We need that for pepsin. We need that for our gut motility and also for absorption, assimilation of food. So in answering your question, we need to make sure that we're tapping into those herbs, all those foods like your bitters. The vagus nerve loves the bitter greens. It loves your dandelion, your chard greens, your mustard greens, your endive, your rocket lettuce. It
Mm.
loves being stimulated by your broccoli, your cruciferous vegetables, brassicacea. They've changed it, haven't they? So all of the, your Brussels sprouts, your herbs like your gentian, your globe artichoke, your dandelion. There are so many things that we can do to improve vagal tone and improve the actual environment of the gut by just looking at what we're eating on a daily basis. I mean, one of my rules with my clients, not in my functional medicine program, but also in functional medicine, definitely, but in the diabetes program, is that they to eat one green leafy salad a day. And I don't mean iceberg, like your very
Mhm.
plain zero, I call them. I call that a zero lettuce. Um, but your real dense dark green. And if you can do that on a daily basis, and you can add some olive oil, because the olive oil will help the assimilation of the chlorophyll, it will help the assimilation of all the nutrients that are in the greens. Um, and it will help to, we have the estrobolome, which belongs in our gut, that loves the bitter greens, that loves the vegetables and all of the herbs that we have because it likes to produce lots of juices. And producing those juices in the gut actually helps the transportation of bile. So it helps us to get to that third phase of detoxification. Because there's three phases of detoxification, and most people only get to maybe the first or the second. They don't always get to the third. The third is where most of the waste is wrapped up, and then it goes out into your fecal matter. So not a lot of people are aware that they're not probably doing that. And the bitter greens help to do that because it, with the estrobolome and all of the receptors in the gut, which love these types of foods, as they're producing all the juice, we're producing more enzymes. And that in turn is going to help the hydrochloric acid production, which we need for thyroid health. And we need that for other aspects of our health as well, assimilation, absorption of food. And in turn, you know, having that hydrochloric acid there is an important part of our digestion. Why we're blocking it in conventional medicine and putting a band-aid effect on that, like I've got reflux disorder, for example, not myself, but I'm saying in third person. So I've been given reflux medication. No, we want that. We want to have the acids. We want to build a better microbiome, a better gut bacteria base. um, it's being suppressed. And that's the cause for a lot of issues from mental health to diabetes, cardiovascular risk as well, which is not being addressed, in conventional medicine. I know it's not being addressed here in Australia because we have wide use of PPIs, unfortunately, here.
I have two questions. First, what are PPIs? And
Oh, okay,
second, yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on. Did you want to say? Yeah,
No, no, you
proton pump
can.
inhibitors. Yeah, proton pump inhibitors. So what they're doing is inhibiting a lot of the acids that should be, produced as a result of our gastrointestinal functioning.
Okay.
Um, and when they're in overuse here in Australia, they are. I think so. Nexium, which we have here in Australia, is responsible for cardiovascular disease risk. So there is a correlation between Nexium use and heart attack. So we know that it's not good, obviously. Um, and we obviously we want the acid. We know that it's an important part of our digestion and assimilation, part of the gastrointestinal tract. I mean, the first thing we learn, or the first thing I learned probably in my secondary school when I did anatomy and physiology was the enzymes that we create when we amylase when we eat. We're producing those acids in our mouth as a result of helping to break down the food.
Mm.
It's an important aspect of digestion and assimilation in general, nutrient absorption. If we don't have that, and that's why I have reservations about these big companies that are trying to bring out lots of different non-food weight loss solutions, where people aren't chewing and assimilating their food properly. And I come across that a lot with people who are pre-diabetic in the program, who have had cardiovascular disease or have had a stroke, and trying to work with them just to improve their eating behavior as well, just to make sure that they're eating proper food, that they're chewing food, because that acid that we create in our mouth is a big part of breaking down the food. So you could imagine when we have, Nexium or other proton pump inhibitors, that we're not breaking down the food. So when they eat, all that's doing is really not helping that assimilation. And that can end up with health problems, obviously, in itself. I mean, I know with America, constipation is well, it's a constipated country, and we're the same here in Australia. Um, there are so many people not knowing what kind of bowel movement they should be having on a daily basis as well. So that's a big thing, and that's something I educate quite a lot about in the programs that I run. Just bringing up the Bristol stool chart and saying, what does your poo look like, and just seeing their faces, thinking, oh, I thought I was having a normal elimination.
This is only
Mm.
the this is only the second time someone's talked about poo on our mastermind. So thank you for that. The first time was Dr. Sanjeev Chopra when he talked about fecal transplants and how beneficial those can be actually for restoring gut health.
I
Um,
saw I saw a documentary on that on Netflix, and to be honest, it totally made me think I would never do a fecal.
yeah, I can understand that. But I think the PPI is like I think Prilosec is one, right? And Prilosec is available over the counter in the US. You don't even need a prescription for it. Like that's how common it is. So it's I think people must take it all the time. I've always been skeptical of that. Um
Yeah.
I've always felt like if I had really uncomfortable heartburn, I might do something like a Tums or something that's a very temporary solution just to relieve the immediate problem. But I try to avoid that stuff because I think it's like I don't know. I feel like there's reasons we have stomach acid, right? So,
Absolutely.
but I do have
Yes.
like a small hiatal hernia, so I sometimes do get like reflux. It's very uncomfortable, and so I'm like occasionally I'm like that. That's why I had asked that question because I was like I'm always interested in things that I can do to modify that without having surgery because I that's the other option, right? Is to fix
Yeah.
this mild hernia, and I don't know your feelings on surgery, but I'm going to guess you think that we should avoid it when we don't have to have it because that's what most people seem to think. Of
Yeah, look, I think it's needed when it's needed. I
course.
think there are a lot of unnecessary surgeries. I know there's a lot of unnecessary surgeries going on here at the moment. If it can't be fixed. But look, you know, with reflux in general, hiatus hernia, any issues with gut dysbiosis, gut imbalance, gut microbiome disruption, you name it, we can fix that without looking at conventional medicine. I mean, we have, you can go out in your garden, pick some parsley and chew on that. I mean, that's going to increase digestive enzymes. That's going to increase your vitamin C. That's going to help the movement of whatever enzymes we need into the cells. And it is at our doorstep. We don't have to go over the counter, and we're doing that quite a lot. And I think that's what I see a lot in my practice, working with the people in that midlife. And look, I look at my mum, like I'll tell her over and over again. And I mean, I've got a lot of friends will say, yeah, my mum, my dad, they're on a lot of medication, you know. And I think it's just because they feel that the doctor's word is gospel. They've been told to go on X, Y, and Z, but they have to take A, B, and C for the side effects of X, Y, and Z, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so that is the problem, you know. And when I say to them, just go and, have a nice green leafy salad every day, or make sure you're getting enough protein to help with your liver, for the phases of the detoxification. People don't realize that, so it's little things that you can do and habit build on a daily basis, and it has an incredible result on your health. Small change always has the biggest impact, and that's my motto when I work with people in general. But going back to your surgery question, look, if it's needed, Hayden, it's needed. But if we can avoid it, we can avoid it. Like it's probably better to avoid it, because then you've got all the ramifications of post-surgery, the downtime, other medications you may have to be on, and quality of life can be impaired as well. I mean, yeah, I can get started on many surgeries that are really overdone.
Necessary. Yeah.
Not
But
necessary.
so let's I just wanted to ask, because you talked about the bitter greens and eating bitter greens with olive oil for to I guess get that gut health going. But does can you cook them, or is it better to eat them raw?
Okay, so that is such a good question. So it's dependent on your thyroid. So if you don't have a great thyroid and you have an autoimmune condition, I don't, sort of recommend that you start to have broccoli that is raw, or collie, or
Hmm.
Brussels, because that can affect the thyroid, and the goitrogens and everything else. So you just want to make sure that they're cooked. The things like your rocket, I mean, I sometimes cook my rocket, depends on the time of the year, and what I'm eating. But I will, like last night, I just grabbed a whole lot and put it in my dinner. And
Hmm.
so when it is actually raw, you're getting all of the enzymes in there. They're not being denatured by the heat that is applied to food. And that's what happens when we cook food, and in particular, even the use of the microwave. I mean, I hate microwaves because of the fact that they denature foods, and broccoli is another one. Like, people put their greens in there. So I'll say to them, don't heat them in there, because it's crazy. You're killing off all the good stuff. So you just want to make sure that
Mm.
you're having you've got a combination of them, Jillian. So you've got some of your cooked ones if you do have some thyroid issues, and some of the raw. Um, in Chinese medicine, and particularly where we've hit winter now here down under, we understand that having too many raw cold foods can actually disrupt the gut, um, and create that um, imbalance. So I would eat according to the seasons, if that makes sense. Um,
Mm.
which is why people will eat more salads. We've just come out of our summer, was eating a whole heap more of salads. I noticed that. Whereas now I've gone to the warmer sort of cooked vegetables and things that I've made up with, different proteins. So, um, yeah, you if you as long as you're getting them in, I have a method where I'll say to people, as long as you're getting, you know, a few different colored vegetables in every week, maybe not every day, because people get a little bit overwhelmed by that, and I have to be mindful. But if every week you can go to the grocery store and you see what's in season, you see what's there. And normally what's in season is good because it's on special, bit more, you can it's more accessible, but you can change your meal planning. And week to week, you'll notice that you will have at least maybe you could try for 30 different types of fiber foods in that time. And that's including, some grains, if you're not allergic to that, or some pulses, legumes and pulses, which play a part as well, especially if someone's vegan, vegetarian, vegan.
What speaking of that, you mentioned for liver health getting enough proteins. Do you have any specific recommendations on the protein side?
Yeah, good question. So we want to make sure that they have all of the essential amino acids, which is the building block of the protein, so that they're a complete protein. We have incomplete proteins if we're using some plants to, say, brown rice might be one of them. So we want to make sure we pair that up, say, with lentils to make a complete protein. So if you're a vegan or vegetarian, that's what you'd be having to make sure. I've been there, done that, I've been vegan, I've been vegetarian, I've gone back to meat. I've found with meat myself, and I hope I'm not offending anybody here, um, and in the research I've done too, to be the best source of B12 in
Mm-hmm.
order to carry over for methylation and for the phase 3 detoxification and conjugation of cholesterol, and conjugation of toxins, because we want to get rid of the toxins. We want to get rid of the xenoestrogens in our body, because that's a trigger too. So
Mm-hmm.
protein in terms of animal good quality. So we're talking chicken, fish, meat. We're not talking hydrogenated fats. We're not talking trans fats. We're not talking Macca's burgers and things like that. We're talking more good quality, smaller portion, because here we have an issue with obesity and portion control. We have, you can go into a pub and get a pretty big piece of meat and may have a lot of fat on it and chips. So not the best if we're looking at liver detoxification. So making sure that we're getting the good quality types of meat in. In terms of a plant-based, once again, you'd have to make sure that you're pairing them so that the liver can do its job to do that conversion in the different phases. And there are different types. I mean, you could do nut butters and those sorts of things. Nuts and seeds work really well. Your tofu, your tempeh, your different sorts of fish even. I mean, seafood is great, being mindful of mercury. We've got to be mindful of everything and make sure it's been sustainably put on our plates, so just being mindful of that. But yeah, protein plays a really big part in that. And you'd be surprised with the amount of people I work with who are protein deficient. They think they have an adequate amount of protein, but when we do the meal planning, or when I look through their food diary over some time, they're shocked to see, wow, I'm not eating as well as I thought I was. I thought I was getting loads of good protein in. Or the fiber one is the most. I mean, we need 30 grams of fiber, and people are not getting that much. I think in the US, you guys are only getting on average about 7 or 8 grams a day.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. We're supposed to get 25. Like that's what's recommended.
Yeah,
It's
we
so,
Heart Foundation here in Australia and Diabetes Australia have increased that by 5 grams, because bowel cancer is the leading cause of cancer here. So that's the leading cause of death in Australia at the moment. So is it attributed to lack of fiber? Is it genetic? Is it gut imbalance and dysbiosis? You know, what are the factors driving that? They tend to think it is the fiber. No, no, we drive that a lot in our books that we give our participants and so forth, or the educational material.
mhm.
But, I think, me personally, it's a combination of things. Liver not working well to really reduce the amount of toxins that are being recirculated into the blood system as well.
What
directly.
so
Yeah.
30 grams of fiber is kind of the target then. What about for protein? Is there a rule of thumb for that for people? What should they be targeting there?
Oh, look, with protein, I don't go by, look, if we can have about, you know, a, if we could have, for say, example, in the morning, if you can have, two boiled eggs in the morning, say, if you want to hit your target, and then by lunchtime, you might want to have, a palm-sized piece of fish, or this size of your palm bit of meat or something like that. You might want to include some lentils and pulses, maybe a cup or so. Half a cup to a cup of lentils and pulses in the day is adequate. You might want to include some other types of protein at the end of the day, and then make sure maybe you're getting some other plant-based protein. So if you decided to have some chicken or meat at dinner time, you want to complement that maybe with some quinoa, which is a complete protein, and is giving you quite a lot of protein per cup. So it varies here because, when we're looking at protein, a lot of people can get too much protein as well. And they're getting too much that they're not actually burning off and is contributing to a lot of issues, a lot of health issues. So you want to just make sure that you're getting enough. You know that you're not getting enough protein when we start to have issues with, cravings, or, protein is a neurotransmitter for the brain. So, if we're feeling our mood is off, sleep issues, as I said, cravings and so forth, can start to increase when we're inadequate in our protein intake. Because there's so many poor proteins. We're big here on I call them Franken foods, like the pretend meats, the fake
Mhm.
meats.
Yeah.
So I've been working with a lot of clients now who have developed type 2 diabetes as a result of these. So they're trying to restore their protein intake with these foods. So they're actually now, you know, ending up with type 2 diabetes and heart issues as a result of having too many of these fake foods because of the chemicals in them. So, um,
Hmm.
and if they're not breaking them down and assimilating them, and their liver's not working well, which is usually the case with these clients, they do find that difficult to comprehend. But yeah, it's an issue for us here as well. I'm sure it is in the US.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
this,
there's
I would say yes, and I used to eat all of that Franken food, because I tried to be vegan or vegetarian for a while, and so I would eat like the Beyond Meat burgers and things like that, and now, um I've definitely I had an experience once when one of my kids was little. We were vegetarian vegan for about 9 months, and we went to a wedding, and the wedding was barbecue, so it was all meat except for like some, coleslaw and potato salad and stuff like that. And so we go up to the table, and my now 17-year-old was 5 at the time, and I said to him, I said, what do you want to eat? Like, what here do you want to eat? Because we hadn't been eating meat. And he goes, don't put anything on my plate except for meat. Like, he was craving meat like so badly that that was the day we stopped being vegetarian, vegan, or what have you. And then I tried a couple more times for my own sake, a couple like later on in life, and I found I wasn't getting enough protein. I've also done the thing where I've eaten too much protein and my kidneys started hurting.
Mm.
So, a lot of
Jillian,
people,
that's because you
yeah.
went from vegetarian to like carnivore overnight. Like you tried to go like the exact opposite, right? Like There
No,
definitely
I
needs to be a
wasn't that bad. It
check.
was more like I went to the doctor. It was over Mother's Day weekend. This was a couple of years ago. It was over Mother's Day weekend. I had been eating vegetarian. I've been trying to pair proteins like, brown rice with beans and stuff like that, doing exactly what you said. But was feeling like unbelievable exhaustion, just crazy exhaustion. And I wouldn't say I was losing weight, but I was working out and I was definitely getting enough fiber for sure. But I could not shake this exhaustion. So I went to the doctor. They did a blood test, and their blood test revealed that I was pre-diabetic. I hadn't been eating pasta or any of those like simple or I don't know if they're complex carbs, I guess. I hadn't been eating any of those like junk carbs, so it didn't make sense. And the only explanation that the doctor had was like it's a lack of protein. I had to up my protein in order to get my blood sugar back to where it needed to be. So that's I stopped being vegetarian permanently. Like that was like the end of that for me. But but I know a lot, Jeff does. Are you doing carnivore right now, Jeff?
No, not right now. It works good for me for a while, but then I start craving other stuff, right? Because like you need to have some
Yeah.
of those other nutrients. It does seem to work like for eliminating inflammation. Like if I have like joint pain or brain fog, stuff like that, it seems to go away right away. Like when I go to a mostly meat diet, and I mean I try to eat really clean meats though, like I'm eating like eggs and chicken and steak pretty much and grass fed meats and stuff because I know I need the nutrients, but I don't think it's sustainable long term, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting. Sharon, what do you think of that? Like, what do you think of carnivore, and how can you incorporate some of the benefits of carnivore without doing carnivore? What do you recommend?
Yeah. So I see that quite a lot with menopausal women whose urea
Mhm.
starts to increase and they're producing too many proteins, kidney issues, liver issues as well because of the protein. Look, I'm all about everything in moderation. I mean, I've gone back to eating red meat after probably 20 years this year
Mm.
because my iron levels sort of started to change a little bit and I couldn't get on top of it. Um, because as we, approach perimenopause, the cortisol levels start to increase. So I soon enough worked out that, some red meat was actually helping with that and not putting my body in overdrive or stressing my body
Mm.
out. But I do know that um, when I have too much protein, I do have that issue with the biochemistry, like with my urea might go up because I've done it before. I've done carnivore, I've done vegan, I've done all of that in the last, couple, 20 years or so. Um, but I do know, look, it's a balance. Everything's a balance. So if you're going to have your red meat, if you're going to have your protein, like your good quality fish, if you can, wild caught, chicken, make sure your chicken is hormone free, make sure it's antibiotic free. You're looking at grass fed meats and all the rest of it. The going back to the salads and things again, making sure you're getting some good greens that go with that because that's going to help the gut. If you're having fish, that might help to level out the amount of mercury that you're having as well. So that will work as a bit of a binder, making sure you're getting your veg in there. Um, yeah, I think everything in moderation. I'm not against the eating meat. I have had to tell a couple of my vegan clients, look, we're working on X, Y, and Z. I think what is happening with your gut is related to the fact that you actually need to have some red meat um, for the brain fog, for what you were saying before, Jeff. Sorry, I had your name wrong before, Jeff.
No
For the
worries.
brain, your brain fog, for energy, for the iron. B12 is a big one. I mean, that's B12 is part of the nervous system. It's a big part of our gut as well. If we don't have enough B12, the gut doesn't work very well to assimilate other vitamins and minerals that we need. Also, there's a difference between iron that's been bound and unbound, so
Mhm.
we have to take all that into consideration. as well. Going back to you saying about the brown rice, and you were having rice and beans or rice and lentils and pulses, and if we're even if it's quinoa, sometimes at certain stages, if we're having that only, it can put the body under a lot of stress as well, and that can increase cortisol, Jillian. So that risk of pre-diabetes can also be attributed to that as well.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so that there's lack of protein is one thing, but if you were complementing them to make a complete protein, then often it is the cortisol levels could be higher, and therefore insulin resistance can result in that.
Hey, I
Oh, that
want
makes a
to.
lot of sense. Yeah.
So I want to see if anyone else has any questions, Jillian, because we've been like
Yes, please. Yeah.
monopolizing. So Dan, Hayden, anyone else who's here, if you have a question, feel free to jump in. If not, we'll keep asking questions because Jillian and I have a million health problems we wanna solve. So
I don't know about
I,
a
I have
million.
a question.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
hear it.
So is are the smokeless like tobacco like Zins popular in Australia? And if so, like so I've recently picked up the habit of putting a light nicotine pack in my mouth during the long workday. I'm just curious about some of the negative health effects of that and like, just it's just like nicotine salt is all it is. But I'm just curious about like nicotine's effects on health and things like that.
Yeah. So do you mean we vaping? Vaping is huge here now. I think I've seen more when I go into our city in Melbourne, I see more people vaping than smoking cigarettes. So is that yeah, I've seen that. I have a friend that does that. He's a boxer. Um, he says it kind of keeps him stimulated. It helps him with his thought processes and decision making. So it does have that effect. We know nicotine is associated too. So when we're looking at, different use of drugs in particular, say drugs and other stimulants, we know nicotine is associated with a bit of repressed anger, right? So we know that the more someone is using the nicotine, the less that they're actually addressing specific problems and maybe anger issues. That's just food for thought for you. That's all. Um, on the other side, physiologically, look, smoking and breast cancer go hand in hand, heart disease, stroke, um, you know, COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder. Sleep apnea is a huge one. We have a big sleep apnea issue. I think sleep apnea in the US is one of the leading causes for heart attack, and has been associated with increased cigarette smoking. We know that it actually can interfere with fertility. So smoking does have an adverse effect on sperm and also on egg reserve. And we know that it has an issue with very early onset menopause as well for women. So it
Mm.
actually interferes with the hormonal profile by dialing down estradiol too much. And that's the association there. Um, but it's unbelievable. We have Australian football here. We're Collingwood supporters when we go into the city to watch the game a lot. And yeah, there's people vaping everywhere now and using those sorts of things, opposed to cigarette smoking, which was around when I was, in my 20s, So there's been a bit of a shift there. I was talking to a few people who are vaping at dinner on Saturday night, and I said, "Oh, do you sort of realize the effect it has on your lungs specifically?" And they go, "No, not really, because I don't feel that congestion or that morning after that I had when I was smoking a whole pack of cigarettes the night before. I don't get that cough, and I'm not bringing up as much phlegm as, when I'm vaping." But we understand that that's actually the vape has an e-cigarette does have a dire effect on the lungs. And we've seen, just pictures of this now recently come out as it's very underdeveloped in terms of the research, but we're just seeing so many more, teenagers that are being affected by it as well. Mouth cancers and things like that is an issue. But Hayden, so what are you getting out of what you're with what you're taking there? What do you find?
Yeah, so for me, it's helped with like my focus. It's
Yeah.
I oftentimes just like get off track. I'm an entrepreneur, and so there's just a million things. And so I'm sitting at the desk a long time as well. I just get like I work out almost every single day, so I'm very active. I get on the treadmill a lot I have a desk with a treadmill. But if I have to sit at my desk for a while and you pop one of these in, it just like really helps you like stay focused, less distractions. And then like on a long drive too, it helps me stay alert. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't like caffeine because it gives me really bad jitters and anxiety. And I haven't had any of those effects using these.
Zins
So
are
yeah,
amazing.
it's that's kind of what I end up getting out of it. And I use a low level, so it's 3 milligrams of nicotine.
I'm not
I
sure what my friend
I
is.
too
Oh,
am
sorry.
chewing on those all day long as well. I
Are you
want to
really?
eat right now. Yeah, and nicotine is just it makes you so sharp. You feel like a real difference. 2 or 3 minutes in. Plus, it gives you a really nice head buzz at the
I
same time.
miss nicotine, honestly. I used to
Dude,
smoke. I did 3 packs a day, when I smoke, so I don't do it anymore. Like I
I was
just
a pack a
like I do
day.
a cigar every so often, maybe more than I should, but I don't get very much nicotine from that because you don't inhale, right? So like you don't get that same like clarity. But I
Yeah,
think you're onto something with it makes you sharp, right?
yeah,
The government, the US government at least used to give nicotine like cigarettes to like fighter pilots because it made
yep,
them perform better. And then there's also that like stereotypical like wise old man with a pipe thing going on, right? Like it just, but I think that one's more if you just sit around and think for a while, like pipe smoking seems like it'd be really relaxing, right? So you just sit
it's
around.
just if you don't get enough sleep or if you're the brain fog or if you're trying to think through a problem, boom, a little bit of nicotine and it gives you that nice little sharp edge. And I miss cigarettes so bad. Not a day goes by when I don't think about smoking.
Oh, and I haven't had a cigarette. So ironically, I did vape nicotine one time. In
Mm,
fairness, I thought that it was THC. I didn't think it was nicotine until after I did the vape. Otherwise, I wouldn't have because I'm like really against because I know how
yeah.
addicted I get to nicotine. I'm like I'm not going to do that.
Mm.
And it was actually it was in Australia when that happened actually. So I'm gonna blame Sharon for this. It's all her fault.
Sharon,
I smoked in Melbourne for
Australia
like
is where I
what
had my
was it,
last smoke
Sydney?
like 2 years
But
ago. So
No.
no, the last time I actually had nicotine in the at least inhaled form was in Australia also, Dan. So
Oh my God. You guys are funny. That's hilarious.
Another benefit I get out of this, so I do like to smoke cigars, and so I found using these, I don't really crave a cigar at the end of the day nearly as much. Not that it was
interesting.
like
I
ever
never
really an
crave
addiction. I
cigars.
wasn't like necessarily craving it, but after a long day, I was like, yeah, cigar sounds really nice to like wind down. And now with these, I'm just like, yeah, I'll have a cigar like once a week or two.
Yeah.
So those are
can't
some of
believe
the
you guys don't
differences that I've
inhale
noticed.
either. You
No,
don't inhale the cigars.
never.
Wow.
I
You,
That
smoked.
was a topic I didn't expect us to go
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
But go ahead, Sharon. What's your response to that?
Oh yeah, look, I understand totally. I'm an ex-smoker. So when did I start smoking? As soon as I went nursing in university, and then I had placement at Royal Melbourne Hospital. The nurses actually took me up on the top and said, "Come have a cigarette." I'm like, "I don't smoke." They go, "Come have a try." And I had a try of a Winfield Blue back then. I think it was 8 milligrams. And it started from there, and I was addicted. So in my 20s, I did a fair bit of smoking, but I associate smoking, well, cigarettes with alcohol as well. So I don't drink now, but if I was to have a drink, it's funny, I haven't smoked for a few years now, but I associate that with alcohol, both of them together, because they went hand in hand. And when you sit at a bar and you start smoking, you have a drink. It was beautiful. So I know what that's like. And was a reason for me to have a break, whereas I'm feeling I'm not breaking now. And actually, if it does make your mind sharper and calms you down, and that's what I'm probably missing, because I need to plug in some data into my CRM, and I think I've got ADHD because I can't sit there and focus on it right now to put this boring
Yeah.
data in. I'm
Yep.
wondering maybe nicotine might help me
Maybe
do
you
that.
pick up some of these puppies.
I'll ask my
Uh,
friend that pops up, and he has it because he's up so early in the morning training, and then he's got late shifts, so he needs to be sharp, and he's training people for competition, so that's what he uses it for. So I
yeah.
get what you mean.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
really like the thought of being addicted to anything, right? Like, and I picked him up and I dropped him for 2 weeks. That's why I keep it at a low strength.
yeah,
But I definitely like I just am very health conscious. I'm always wondering like what is this affect how is this affecting me? Am I increasing my risk for this, that, or the other? But I also like kind of not to justify a bad habit, but I'm like I don't drink, I don't smoke, like cigarettes, I don't do it like I eat
yeah,
healthy, I exercise. So I'm like I feel like we all kind of need to have some vice, right? I don't even eat sugar, like I barely eat sugar.
yeah.
So I'm like, if we have one vice, I feel like it's not the end of the world, right?
Absolutely. I think, look, if you're ensuring you're getting vitamin C, you're making sure you're getting a lot of antioxidants, and that you're repleting the body, you're looking after your gut as much as you can. You're getting sleep, you're not overdoing it, you're not, burning um, the candle at both ends, sort of thing. Being mindful of stress reduction strategies. It's when we wind up with these vices and then we've got other lifestyle issues that are going on that can complicate and perplex things a little bit too much. It's where we start to see ill health. So what you're doing most of the time, um, I say is the most important thing. And we can't do all the things, can we? I mean,
Mm-mm.
look at all the biohacks and things out there. Like if we were to follow all of that, would be no time left in the day to do anything because you'd be following so many things to be healthy. So we try to just do the lowest hanging fruit if we can most of the time. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
I have
I mean,
one
I
other
find this
question.
very interesting because I've never smoked. I don't smoke. I tried to smoke a cigarette one night when I was like when I had drank too much at my brother's wedding and I was super stressed out because I saw my parents for the first time in like 7 years and
Yeah,
hadn't spoken to them. So I was like out of my mind. And I've never
yeah,
smoked. Like I lit it up
yeah.
and I never smoked since. So now that I'm hearing like vaping can help you focus, I'm like, oh, let me hear more at the age of 47. Like, should I start smoking now?
I'm not, no, I'm not. I can't. No.
I
No,
don't think so, Julie.
the vapes are
I would
terrible. I used to
avoid it.
do it. It hurts your lungs.
I'm not gonna
At
do
least it
it.
did for me.
I don't
Yeah.
want my kids, I don't want my kids seeing me doing that either.
So the
And
Right.
problem with
inevitably they
smoking
would.
for me is that I like it so much. Like I'm like Dan, like I miss it all the time. I haven't had a cigarette since 2011, right? So there's like 14 years since I've had a cigarette, and I know that if I had a cigarette today, tomorrow I would buy a pack, and 3 days
Yeah.
later I would be doing 3 packs a day. I freaking
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't not I cannot have if I had one hit off of a cigarette tonight, I would be back to smoking. I know that for sure because I love
I
it
think,
so much.
Same.
yeah, I think once a smoker, always a smoker. And that would be, I mean, it's so, I know all the adverse effects of it and issues with it, health wise, but I worry if I'd ever had, that's why I was always hesitant to drink. But if I had to take a drag off someone's cigarette, I'd be so scared about wanting another one and then that ending up in a pack a day
Well,
issue that,
Mm,
That
just
happened
to
to
mhm.
me with the
clarify,
that happened to me with the nicotine vape that I had in Sydney.
yeah,
Like a friend of mine handed it to me, and I was like, "Oh," okay. And then I was like, "Wait a minute, this isn't right." They're like, "Oh, you don't do nicotine," and I was like, "Oh man!" And for like a week after that, I wanted a cigarette so bad.
mm,
And I had like one hit on this nicotine vape, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do that. It's the same reason I couldn't do like what you guys do, the nicotine chews or whatever.
yeah,
I just know for sure, like I couldn't do it. When I first quit smoking, I thought I would use like the nicotine gum. Because the Zion or whatever you guys have, they didn't exist then. I was like, I'll do the gum, but like I just wanted to buy more gum, like
yeah.
constantly.
I
I
couldn't
couldn't
do enough
help but
gum at the
break the
same
habit
time.
at all. Yeah,
Um,
it wasn't going to get me off of nicotine at all. So I didn't do it. Like, I mean, like I said, I do smoke cigars occasionally now, but like before that, I didn't, I had to do like 10 years of nothing to even get to where I could have a cigar and not want to smoke like
right.
20 a day.
Well, I do have to say, I just was wanted to clarify more for Sharon than anything else, because we're going down buzzland here. But right, I mean, having smoked, having vaped, and having chewed tobacco, obviously you're not going to get a more concentrated nicotine blast than smoking. But the Zins, they're a good substitute. I haven't had any problems with them at all, and except for I have to buy a bunch of them, and I'm glad I have Philip Morris stock. But the it really, I think a lot of it, like the negative aspects of nicotine, are more attributed to smoking. The fact that you're burning a tree and filling your lungs full of hot smoke. But the nicotine itself, I mean, it's a really nice drug. It's a really nice nootropic. It's addictive as hell, but I'm okay with that. But don't, and maybe this will come out, years later. They'll say, Zins, cause people to turn into bombs and just randomly explode after a while. But I don't really feel like I have any deleterious health effects from it. Whereas if I was smoking, I'd be hacking up my lungs and difficulty
Yeah,
breathing and all that stuff. So anyway,
yeah.
that's my clarification.
I had
Mm.
one other question too. What are your thoughts on creatine?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, it is great when you're working out to use that, as an extra source of protein and, if you're wanting to build your muscle mass and all the rest of it. I think, though, I've had a lot of clients that have come from the gym and they're probably having too much. And then that's just, unfortunately, can affect their blood sugar levels and can affect their blood pathology, so their lab results. So, look, if some people can tolerate it, some can't, and I think it's an individual thing. Are you taking it in the form of supplements or pre, post work?
I have creatine in my daily smoothie that I make. I use make a plant-based protein shake. And so I do that's typical. It's like a 1 teaspoon serving, which is like the
Yep.
recommended. So I have a
Yeah.
small serving with my breakfast every morning.
Yeah, that's good. You just have to be mindful with your kidneys not to overload the kidneys too much with it because there's a clearance issue with it and everything else. So, yeah, it's just adhering to the recommended daily dose. I think here we have so many mass, powders and things like that that have it in everything. And sometimes people are taking a combination of things and then it's got the creatine in it. So, they end up overdosing on it. So you just have to
Hmm.
watch that. That's like anything though.
Interesting. I heard you couldn't overdose on it. I thought your body could only absorb a certain amount and then it just like you just it passed if you had too much. That's what I always heard.
Yeah, no, the kidneys actually can increase the amount. It's a little bit like what you see in people that have nephritis or issues with their kidney because of type 2 diabetes or something like that, heart disease or blood pressure issues. There is a delicate spot with it. So you just have to be really mindful. It's not, you know, it's not sort of for everybody, but most of the time it's okay. And I think just one of those things you need to watch. I think that's just everything that we're using now, carnitine as well, anything that's going to increase your mitochondria, the energy into the mitochondria for cellular energy, NAD, NAC, it's just making sure that you're watching the actual dosage and just listening and being mindful of how your body is responding as well. Mm.
So, I want to be super mindful of your time, Sharon. Like we're getting close to the end here. Is there anything that you want to share with the people that are here, the people that catch on the recording later, maybe ways they can get a hold of you or things like that, or what, if you have anything really anything you want to share, I'm happy to hear about it.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so you can find me. I'm on Facebook. My main page is Facebook, Sharon Casagalia, but I'm also the holistic health and wellness coach on Facebook as well. The same with Instagram, Sharon Casagalia, and also holistic health and wellness coach. But there's an underscore there. I maybe can give Jillian the details of my other
Yeah,
Insta
that'd be
account.
great. Do you take clients like outside of the country? Like, do you do remote
Yes.
work? Oh, you do. Awesome.
Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
perfect.
Yeah. So in my functional medicine program, I have a discovery session and I have an exploratory session, protocol session. I do. So I have Zoom sessions that I run with clients overseas, and interstate for us as well. I have a website, embraceholistichealth.com.au. If you want to find out a little bit more about my programs, I'm sort of steadily adding to that because I've just sort of transferred it over from the platform it was on to another one. Um, what else? I just started my YouTube, but I think I don't remember what that is, Jillian. I'll give that to you. I'll put all my videos
Yeah.
in there. I'm kind of active putting videos on at the moment. I'm trying to get there. Um, and just, share the work just because I want to do, just some PowerPoint presentations on, um, you know, exercising at the right times of the month for women, or reducing a risk of type 2 diabetes and stroke, and all of that. So I have done things in the past. I want to start slowly uploading because the kids are like, Mom, you've got to stop doing this on this and have this and that. So I'm trying to get across all that. The social media world, I'm hopeless with that. I'm old school.
Well, I just gave you 3 follows, so I got both your Instagrams and your
Oh,
Facebook.
thank you, Jeff.
So you got
Thank
that.
you.
But and also for anyone else here, I think everyone here follows me. So you guys, if you need to find her, you can look on my page. I just follow her on
Thank
everything. So,
you.
and
No,
when we
this
And
get
I
was
the
have
this
a
YouTube,
was
when
this
we get
ex
the YouTube, we'll make sure to get that sent out to the group as well. So
yeah, for sure. No, this exceeded my expectations. Like I could keep going if we had time,
I
but
can
like
talk all day.
yeah. So thank
well,
you so much. This was amazing.
Jillian's in Europe right now, so it's like the middle of the night
Yes,
for
you're
her. The
saying. Oh,
the
Jillian.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
rest of us are mostly on the east coast of the US right now. So we're not in too bad of a spot. I'm actually in the
Okay.
central time zone. So like New York time, and I'm like 1 hour off at the moment. Jillian and I move around a lot, so we that's why we have to do these things over Zoom, because we never get to the same place at the same time. So
What a great gathering you have. That's good.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We
Yeah,
really, and thank you for being here. Jillian and I really appreciate it. So
we
thank you.
absolutely do. So
Thanks so
thank you
much for
very
having
much,
me.
guys. Let's give Sharon a round of applause, and everybody else. I will we'll end here. And if you have anything that you need from us, you know where to find us on the WhatsApp channel, and Sharon will let you know when we get this out there on YouTube.
Thanks so much. I'm so appreciative and grateful that you've had me on today. Thanks, Jillian.
Absolutely. Talk to you all soon. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Talk soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.